This is what it's all about, shooting wolves from a helicopter to increase the caribou and moose populations. It's an emotional topic. Some people find it hard to handle. The government says it's the most efficient and humane way of culling wolves. They won't talk to the media about the kill, but will only say that the experimental program is in its last year before evaluation and that caribou calf survival rates are up since the kill began in 1993. Last winter, Bill Hipwell of the Friends of the Wolf came to the Yukon with self-styled eco-gorilla Paul Watson. They held a news conference, made some headlines, and then Watson left. Hipwell stayed on, raising awareness for the cause, and eventually spent some time out at the government base at the Asiac airstrip. Before he left last February, Hipwell vowed that they would be back next winter and would establish a camp near the strip. From there, they would stop the kill. November '93, and the advance party from the Friends, as they call themselves, have arrived in Whitehorse.
And take some photographs of it and just find out if there's any.
In the next few weeks, leader Dennis Alvey and activist Al Decker will be planning their actions and equipping their camp.
Yeah, we've got some field glasses we should get out of there.
One of their first jobs was to scout the Asiac Strip. There was no sign of activity. Back in Whitehorse, they threatened civil disobedience and gave media interviews like this one with CBC Radio's Irene Marushko.
What do you mean by civil disobedience? What are examples of that?
Exactly what you saw in Clakewood Sound this summer.
You're going to be lying down on roads, Midnight Oil's coming for a concert?
Well, that's kind of silly, isn't it? Of course not. Well, civil disobedience. I can't give you any more details on that, but you just have to wait and see what happens this winter.
Sorry. The Friends' first act was to briefly block the Alaska Highway by the airport. Then they made their way to the government executive offices.
Mr. Brewster! Yukon. Wolf kill. Canada's shame.
Later, they chained themselves to railings in the public gallery of the legislature. They were arrested and held in jail overnight. 3 members of the group, including leader Alvey, are due in court later next month.
And why are the facts being held from the public?
Although the government has been tight-lipped about the program this year, the Friends continued to make headlines. Part of the early pressure from Yukoners was focused on getting the Renewable Resources Department to adopt a wolf conservation and management plan prepared earlier by biologists and First Nations. The management plan contained strict environmental conditions under which wolf control could be used. The Friends of the Wolf, while agreeing that the plan was a step forward, insisted that any killing was wrong. Although they had been resisting it, in December the government adopted the plan. Late last December, the Friends took to the bush near the Asiac airstrip. This was what they had been planning for over a year. The camp was set up in the trees near the lake. Facilities were minimal, and while we were there, it was about 30 below.
We'll do these dishes up quick before the water freezes up on us.
We should have about 5 minutes. It's only 26 below.
There were 3 Friends of the Wolf in the camp: Dennis Alvey, Jonathan Mayer, and Diana Wilson. They told us their objective was to scout the area for signs of government wolf kill activity, try to find wolf bait drops, and interfere where possible. While sitting around the tent that night, we tried to find out what makes them tick. What makes them want to do this?
Now, I gotta ask you the basic question, you guys. What the hell are you doing here?
Well, we're obviously here to try and defend the wolf and stop the wolf kill. That's the bottom line. This is sort of the key action in our campaign is to be out here in the bush and try and intervene directly. So we're trying to seek those baits out, and we'll find them, drag them off the ice, destroy them, whatever we will.
If you came across some activity, aerial activity, what would you do?
Well, we'd try and stay with the planes the best we could. If we actually saw them coming for the kill, like I say, we'd try and maneuver ourselves and get in between the helicopters and the wolves. If we get there a little bit late, and they're actually picking the wolves up, I'm not sure what'll happen. I'm sure we'll intervene somehow. It could be a pretty emotional time. You know, of course, it's going to be non-violent, but I don't know what we'll do. Maybe some type of civil disobedience.
You must have thought about what you would do. What have your thoughts been?
My first reaction, I think, would be to steal the wolves, take them away, and keep them from the government. Maybe lay them to rest somewhere in the wilderness. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Have you come across any of the renewable resources people?
Not out here in the Asiac. No, we've come across them at the Burwash Airport, but not in the wilderness. No, not yet.
How about baits?
Nothing yet. No, we're looking. Well, that's probably why they're not here, is because we're here. We're trying to create a presence, sort of bear witness, if you will.
There's no evidence that the Friends have changed anything since they've been here. The kill is presumed to be continuing, although not from the Asiac airstrip. The government won't say how effective it's been or how many wolves have been killed. Letters to the editor in the White Horse Star are about 2/3 to 1/3 against the kill, but the feeling at the Star is that many Yukoners that support the kill are not speaking out.
Some people in the Yukon and elsewhere have said this is basically a waste of time and a waste of charitable donation money. How do you react to that?
I think they're just a little misinformed and a bit apathetic. We're not wasting our time. So I think even if we packed up and left here today and went back to Vancouver, we've accomplished quite a bit. We've acted twice in Whitehorse itself, through civil disobedience. We've raised a lot of awareness, and we've resisted much.
Some of your critics have said that basically all you're doing here is you're here to get as much publicity as you can through people like us, and just to raise money.
That's a lie. We're not here to raise money at all. We're here to stop the wolf kill, and that's the bottom line.
How much are you paid?
Nothing. I get my meals paid for. That's it.
So no one here is getting any pay at all?
Zero. Nobody at all.
Why are you doing it?
It's my moral obligation. I don't see myself as having a choice. Once I became informed about the issues, I feel so passionately towards them. If I sat at home, I'd never be able to face myself. I think it's my job to act and to change these atrocities.
Last year, the Friends received money from 4 animal rights organizations in the United States, but this year's campaign was funded by donations and from door knocking in the Vancouver area.
I believe you're involved with the Clayoquot Sound blockades and whatnot. Do you spend your entire time doing this?
As much time as possible. I perceive that the natural world to be in peril, and I feel very passionately towards the earth. A lot of people sit around and watch their TV at evening. I'm reading environmental magazines or going to rallies or organizing. When I work, it's to carry me through my next project. Environmental issues are my life first, work second. I'm not an animal rights activist, not at all. A lot of people perceive me to be that or us to be that We're a deep ecology group. We're here to defend the entire ecosystem, not just a cute-colored little wolf.
So you are a professional protester.
Professional protesters are paid. I'm not paid. I'm a very dedicated protester.
Diana Wilson is an activist and filmmaker. She is putting together a documentary on their exploits to use in Europe and elsewhere to raise cash and awareness. The Friends also plan to use the video to spearhead a tourism boycott of the Yukon. Jonathan Mayer is a recent biology graduate of Simon Fraser University in Burnaby.
This is by no means easy or fun at times, because you got to listen to stuff like that. People say, I'm telling you to get a job, and all the other difficulties that go with it. We're here because we love the wilderness, and when you love something, you defend it and you protect it. And without wolves, it ain't wilderness.
How about you, Diana?
Well, my reasons for being here are similar and different to everyone else here. I'm here both because I'm passionately concerned about these kinds of issues, and also because I'm a filmmaker and I'm trying to make a documentary about the issue to try and bring it to a larger audience.
What we need to do is we need to feel passion and anger when you see someone out there shooting wolves or clear-cutting an ancient forest. And that's the crisis of environmentalism. We have to get attached to the earth. And when a bulldozer rips inside the mountain, we got to feel it ripping into our guts. When they shoot a wolf, they got to be shooting our brothers and sisters.
But what I want to ask is, why isn't everyone else doing it? I mean, the world is really, really in danger. I mean, if you love the natural world, it's under attack everywhere. I mean, the forces of capitalist society are really doing their best to destroy every last refuge of wilderness.
That's very laudable, but here you are being passionate, and who's seeing it? You're out here in the trees.
Sometimes it doesn't matter who sees it. The government knows we're here, and if we run into them, they're certainly going to see it, and they're certainly going to wish that they had picked a different profession. Maybe they'll wish they were bankers or dishwashers or something else, but they're certainly going to wish they weren't wolf biologists, I'll tell you. We're going to make it very uncomfortable for them.
Just before we left the Asiac Bush Camp, Bill Hipwell of the Ottawa chapter of the Friends arrived for a few days on the front line. I asked him what they hope to achieve with the documentary.
We've said all along that our strongest suit, really, you know, as opposed to physically halting the killing here, is to halt it politically through an economic boycott of the Yukon, similar to what the movement used to stop the sealing in Newfoundland, and what's being done now to halt the clear-cut logging in BC. So we'll be taking the film to Europe, utilizing the same network that's being used by the forest activists in BC.
Your documentary won't have any wolves in it, and probably won't have any government biologists in it either.
Right.
How will that affect things?
Well, the documentary can also make use of stock footage of aerial wolf kills. You know, we can state this is not actually a Yukon helicopter shooting Yukon wolves, but the principle is the same.
The Friends of the Wolf have talked about moving the camp further north to where they think the kill is more active. They have other civil disobedience planned for Whitehorse shortly, and they vow to remain in the Yukon until the program has been shut down.
Whether we win or lose, it doesn't matter. Okay, we would love to win, and that would be the best possible scenario. But to sit back on the couch and drink beer and watch football games and forget about it all is losing. To be here and fight is to win.
For Focus North, I'm Tony Wade near Asiac Lake, Yukon.